So we're at the bottom of a brutal bear market and prices are down across the board. Lots of people are hurting left and right and there is FUD all over the place. But I'm going to take a look at some data to actually try to prove to you how many people are really at a loss with digital assets such as HEX, for example. Because when I looked into the data, guys, I found some results that are actually pretty shocking. So welcome back, HEX Tribe, and in this video I'm going to tell you about some data that I was looking into on hexdailystats.com and what it means in terms of adoption and how many people are actually at a loss versus at a gain. And stick around till the end because I'm going to share with you some irrefutable data. I mean, it's purely on-chain analysis of this data, and I'm going to come to some conclusions, and it's up to you whether or not you agree with the conclusions from the actual physical data. So what are we hearing from people in the overall markets? Well, obviously people are down, including myself, from the relative highs, right? If we're measuring from the top down in almost any single asset across the entire stock market, crypto markets, whatever, people are down bad. If you held Bitcoin, you're not doing that much better than if you held Ethereum versus HEX. We're talking about 80% dips versus 90% dips, right? But now I hear people coming up with all these crazy stories and things to complain about when in reality, guys, I'm here to tell you it's a lot less bad than it actually seems. So people have complained that, for example, everybody bought the top and now everybody is so down that, and to say that most HEX users are at a loss is actually factually untrue. So stick around to the end. I'm going to go into the data as to proving why that's not true. But, people will complain about everything from, oh, well, there's too many people that got in early or too many people bought the top. Which one is it, guys? You can't have both. You can't have it both ways. Right? But people will complain about anything like, oh, there's too many people that bought early and they're just going to sell forever, or oh, there's too many people that bought the top and now they're down bad. Well, which one is it? You can't really have both of those at the same time. Too many people buying early and too many people buying the top. But we're going to talk about just how many people actually bought in the top ranges versus the bottom ranges. Now, I want to give you a visual example. If you look at the screen right here, this is the oldest price chart of HEX data that we have to date. It's really, really interesting. So pay attention because we can see over the long history of HEX's existence, we're sitting at about 3.5 cents, and these are ranges that we really haven't seen. It's not quite the low. And you'll notice that some people still bought the dips at around 3 cents in the past couple of months. There's been a great dip buying opportunity that may or may not have just temporarily ended, right? We just broke out of that 3-cent range. But if you discount these little groups of people that bought these dips here and here at the right side of the chart, the last time we were at the 3.5 cent range was all the way back on May 7th of 2021. So HEX today at these prices is as if we're taking a time machine back in time and looking at the prices of May 7th, 2021 and earlier. So if you'll notice, earlier than May 7th, everybody that bought in at these prices below 3.5 cents before May 7th is actually up on their money, right? You can't buy something lower than 3 cents and not be in a profit right now. But at the same time, everybody that bought above 3.5 cents is potentially down on their money, unless they dollar cost averaged in or have a whole bunch of buys staggered throughout the beginning and end of the chart. So I want to look at the area, right? The area of people to the left of this line and to the right of this line and try to see how many people were actually buying during the run up to 3.5 cents, back in last year of May, and the run up from 3 cents to 50 cents and back down to 3 cents again from May 7th on to relatively today. And we can hop on over to hexdailystats.com. I suggest you guys check out this website. This is all on-chain data, irrefutable data because it literally cannot be faked. It's on the blockchain, transparent, and we can actually see someone compiled a list of every single day of HEX's 1,056 days of existence. They piled together all these different stats, but the ones in particular that I'm looking at that I care about for this video are the adoption stats. Okay, so how many total holders, or better yet, how many current holders, because current holders is a little more relevant to me than total holders, because somebody that bought HEX and then sold it again and now has 0 HEX is still counted in total holders, but they're not actually a current holder. So I looked at current holders and current stakers of various time ranges, and I pulled them out. I extracted an Excel spreadsheet. You can do this too if you want to follow along with me. You can just download this Excel spreadsheet, put it into Excel, and then I picked from some dates that I thought were pretty important, and we're going to start with that May 7th date. So from that on-chain HEX data that you could see that currently now there's 311,237 current holders of HEX on today's date. And for current stakers, we've got 110,000. Roughly about 1/3 of every holder is actually a staker. And stakers are more meaningful in the HEX community because they actually hold up the price. They're less likely to sell. They're more likely to self-promote. And they're overall just using the ecosystem the way it was intended to do for long-term profit taking spread out over a many-year time frame with this staking ladder strategy, hopefully. So we've got 300K current holders, 110K current stakers. But on May 7th, there were only 207,000 current holders. And that's the difference, meaning from May 7th till today, 100,000 current holders have been added from May 7th till today, which means that from the beginning of HEX's existence to May 7th, we acquired 200,000 holders, and then from May 7th on, we acquired 1,000 holders. So therefore, roughly 2/3 of people got in at prices below the current price. So this is pretty irrefutable on its own, that more than half the people in HEX right now actually bought at lower prices, because there were more people getting in on that stretch of time when HEX was born to May 7th versus the 100K that got in after. But now look what's really interesting. Before that May 7th date, there were only about 30,000 stakers. And today, there are 110,000 stakers. So we've seen almost a tripling of stakers before the last time HEX was 3.5 pennies. Following me so far? So although from that previous 3.5 cent range on May 7th, we've actually only acquired 100,000 roughly current holders, we've acquired 80,000 current stakers. That means roughly 80% of everybody that was a holder after May 7th that decided to become a holder also decided to become a staker. Now, whether or not that's because they believed right away, or maybe the price is going down, so they figured, hey, might as well stake it for the long term to wait out the bear market. People have their different reasons for doing different things, but that's pretty astounding that even though there were less new holders coming in after May 7th, the amount of new stakers actually tripled, going from 30K to 110K. And 81,000 of those current stakers made up about 80% of the new current holders after that May 7th date. And as a percentage, we can say that stakers went from roughly 14% of every holder was a staker in before May 7th time, or at the May 7th time. But today, 36% of holders are actually stakers. So we've seen actually a doubling of people that are voting by putting their money where their mouth is and believing in the product. And so we've seen an increase of stakers relative to holders going from 14% to 36%. That's over a double as a proportion of stakers versus holders. And to me, when I'm analyzing this data, I look at stakers as more high value to the community because, again, they're holding the price up, they're believing in the product, and they're using it as it was intended for. But we should still count current holders as a general metric of adoption as well. So look, yeah, a lot of people actually have been getting onboarded and are buying lower in this bear market, but the number of stakers is going up, whereas the adoption levels of current holders might be going up slower. The number of stakers as a proportion of those holders is going up very, very quickly, which I find actually very bullish, which means we're doing a good job in the bear market by converting and still maintaining a lot of activity. Whereas you pop into other groups, other communities, or so-called communities that seem to be totally dead at this time in the pain, anger, frustration phase of the bear market. And now, just for fun, let's go take a look at the top. Okay, let's just take a look at how many people actually bought the top in this whole deal. Now, I know the top is arbitrary, right? But let's just say in the 50 days where HEX ranged and actually topped from 33 cents to 50 cents and then back down to 33, that all took place in a matter of less than 2 months. So tops happen very, very quickly. And not a lot of people actually buy the top. So I want to put in perspective how many people actually bought in this very, very top range right here versus the rest of people that bought anywhere else on this chart. So from the range of September 4th, 2021 to October 4th, 2021, we've had current holders increase from 238,000 to 262,000. That means a total of 24,000 current holders were added at the very top range. Now, does that equal 24,000 people? No, we know it's not exactly 24,000 people. It's probably a bit less. It might even be half as many or less because we know a lot of people like to make multiple wallets. I mean, I myself have multiple wallets, and I'm sure a lot of other people do too. So a current holder is based on the addresses holding HEX, which doesn't actually account for people. So let's take all these stats with a grain of salt that it's measuring blockchain data, not the real human data, and anybody can create as many wallets as they want. But that's not the point. The point is that relative to the total amount of holders at this time, only 8% of them actually bought the 33 cents to 50 cent top range. 8%, that's less than 1 in 10 people actually had bought the top. And if you're one of those people, it's okay, because as long as you're dollar cost averaging and holding for the long term and hopefully staking, a lot of the people, I know people that bought the top that are actually very, very comfortable right now because they're able to get their DCA range much, much lower. I mean, when you buy at 50 cents and then you buy at 3 cents, if you put an equal amount at the top and the bottom, you're actually DCA'd at a price of 9 cents, which is a lot better to deal with psychologically. Oh, HEX only has to go back to 9 cents rather than all the way back to 50 cents before I see any profit, right? So that's the dollar cost average strategy in a nutshell. But look, guys, as well, if we look at the stakers that were added on the top, so people that were staking at the top, 17,000 new stakers were created at that tiny little top range from 33 to 50 cents, whereas 24,000 current holders were added. This means that a lot of those holders likely actually became stakers as well. It's because as a proportion, the proportion of new stakers added was 72% of the proportion of new holders added at that short little window of 33 to 50 cents. That's almost 3 in every 4 people that were a holder that got added at the top, that quote unquote bought the top, likely became stakers. And that is a way to cope with the bear market, right? You stake so that you can earn interest to offset your losses and also set it and forget it and wait for conditions to come back. So you can, it really frees your mind up to step away from things, go live your life and focus on dollar cost averaging or whatever else you might want to do. So that was just a fun little experiment to see how many people actually bought the top. It's never actually that many people that buy the top because tops happen really, really quickly. And I was being generous even using a 50-day window right there, right? But now let's just, for fun, let's do what we did here with the May 7th date, the last time HEX was 3.5 cents. Let's instead do that with the September 18th date in 2021, which was the actual top for the HEX price. So you can see that on September 18th, we had about 250K current holders, and now we have 311K current holders. An increase of 61,000 people were actually gained after the September 18th top. So after HEX topped, obviously we're growing at a much slower rate. So you can see 20% of the current holders were onboarded during the bear market, which is good. I mean, that's roughly a Pareto principle, 80-20, right? But this number will keep growing because we haven't actually made a definite bottom yet. So by the end of the bear market, we might see 30, even 40% of the total holders being added during the bear market as opposed to during the bull market. But now look, this actually accentuates the point that I was making with the May 7th date. Although current holders are still growing but at a slower rate, current stakers are growing at a much faster rate. So this adds to that argument again where even though we only had 60K current holders growth, we had 50K growth in current stakers from 60,000 to 110,000. Wow, right? I mean, we've added almost as many stakers as holders in the bear market, meaning the people that were onboarding in the bear market seem to have a longer time preference, a lower time preference, or just understand the staking mechanism more. Again, partially that's because it helps offset your losses and psychologically it's good for you to set it and forget it. Walk away during the bear sometimes is really the best thing, but these metrics are actually very, very bullish because adoption is slowed across the board. You point at any crypto out there, you point at any stock out there, people just aren't buying right now. It's a risk-off environment. People are scared. So the fact that we've had 60,000 current holders added and 50,000 of those are stakers, that's 5/6 of every new person. 5 in every 6 new people has decided to stake. Pretty cool. They're using HEX like they should be. And so the proportion of stakers to total holders since the top actually went from 24%. So at the top, at the time of the HEX top, 24% of all the holders were actually stakers. And now today, 36% of all holders are actually stakers. So this proportion is good. The more people that we can convert into the staking lifestyle, the staking ladder system, the more net positive winners we're going to have in the long term over a multi-year, 2, 3, 5, 10 year time frame. So I do find it interesting that with the stakers, it's almost an even split of before the top, we had 60,000 stakers. After the top, we had 110,000 stakers. So we're almost doubling the amount of stakers in the bear market. Almost doubling, and because the bear market's not even over yet, we're probably going to get to that doubling ratio of an equal amount of people staking before the bear, and before the top, and the same number of people staking after the top. So I don't know of any other coin that's onboarding people at this serious of a level. I've heard some NFT communities are still active, but if you pop into some other Telegram channels, I don't think a lot of people are really this excited about getting people in and buying the dip, because really that's where the generational wealth is created in HEX, when you buy the dip. And if you're one of those people that bought the top, I'm just here to say it's going to be okay, because as long as you have the right mindset and the right framing, that you're staggering your stakes into the future. I don't usually recommend going any shorter than a year, not only because of the bear market, but because of long-term capital gains tax. But If you're offsetting your losses by staking and your dollar cost averaging at the dips, you've really got the right mindset of what it takes to succeed in cryptocurrency, because this bear market is brutal and it is testing everyone's patience, testing everyone's conviction. But often you have to realize that the people that are yelling the loudest about HEX or losing money in HEX or claiming that everyone in HEX is a loser, usually this is the very, very vocal minority of people. Because as we can see, although there's a vocal minority of people complaining, we could see on-chain data saying that staking as a percentage of total holders is increasing at a very fast rate, even faster than it was increasing before the HEX top. And often, guys, on top of that, to go one step farther, often the people complaining about HEX or HEX is wrecked are people that got wrecked on other coins that have never even owned HEX at all. Look at some of these haters on Twitter. They've never had any vested interest in HEX. Why would they start talking well about it now? They just want to bring people down to their level because we're all relatively in the same boat. We all lost money, but the really cool part is the people that lost money in HEX, as long as you bought early enough, are actually still up multiple X's. And this is probably going to be repeated next cycle because it's not about how far down you go from the top. I want to make this point clear as my closing point. It's not about how far down you go from the top. It's about how much of that upwards price pressure you capture, how much of that upwards price you ride up and then go down. It's not how far you go down. It's how much you go up and then down. If I go up 1,000x in price and then I go down 90%, guess what? I'm still up 100x on my value, on my USD value. But if I go up only 10x, like, hate to throw Bitcoin guys under the bus, but Bitcoin, for example, if Bitcoin goes up 10x and then it goes down 90% or 80% or whatever, you're only up, 1 or 2x on your money. And that's just simple math. Going down 90% from a 10x gets you right back to a 1x, square one. But going down 90% from 1,000x, you're still at 100x over your starting price. So when you talk about these bigger x's or these bigger number of multiples of ROI, that's what really separates the real winners in crypto from people that just aren't going to make it. So there you have it, guys. I was trying to uncover the truth of some adoption metrics by looking at real on-chain data. And just keep in mind that losing, it's all paper gains until you actually sell. And losing is a mindset. Because as we've seen with the data, many people that are in a loss by having bought after, 3.5 cents, they've actually become stakers since then. And paper gains or losses are not realized until they're sold. And again, people are down heavily across the entire market. So to hear people pointing at this one particular asset right here, HEX, being down 90%, where almost every other altcoin is down 90, Ethereum is down 80, Bitcoin's down 70, it's a bit disingenuous to just say that something might be a scam because it went down in price, because guess what? Everything went down in price. And it's not what happened with the price, it's how you then react to what happens and how you then position yourself to catch the next run up so that when the train leaves the station, you're not caught without a ticket. I hope this made sense to you guys. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, share. It takes 2 minutes of your time, probably less, and it helps the video go viral. And share this with more people if you want some real on-chain data analysis, and also check out hexdailystats.com. And maybe you can come to some unique conclusions yourself and post about them on Twitter, make a YouTube video, because I'm sure there's a lot of data here that we still have to uncover. And the truth is in the data. Alright guys, I'll see you later.